This is a Shadow Imp deck that's casual. It was inspired by a Tom Sorensen deck that I don't think actually made it anywhere. It was a 2016 design, but it plays a lot of less played constructed cards. Something like Mighty Blow. So right here you see target champion gains Unbreakable and +10 this turn. Usually you see this in limited, and most of those times it's unless the opponent's completely unprepared, it just becomes a draw 2. Now, I want to show that, and I want to show one more card, and then we're going to discuss how the rest of the deck works. This thing also runs a 3-pack of Grave Squire. This card, I almost never see in constructed. I've seen it here and there, but it's usually in decks that are singleton. Almost in limited, you'll see it. But these things are just underplayed. No one sees them coming. When they hit hard. So the core of this deck is about being evasive. Most of it's based around the Shadow Imp. If you haven't seen this thing before, it's a 2/3 ambush blitz unblockable. Whenever you play a 1 gold sage card, it comes back to your hand. So you can tuck this thing away back in your hand, away from the opponent's defensive maneuvers, away from their board wipes, stuff like that. Now, the rest of the deck isn't just built around that, but we'll cover a few things. Let's start up here at, actually, no, let's start here at Evil. So you have Bitten, break target champion, they get a zombie, or draw 2 cards. Inner Demon, same thing, but there is a demon token. Now, this works on whose ever turn it is. So obviously, Bitten on their turn, Inner Demon on your turn, or more where you want to be. But at the same time, if you're staring down anything like Veldin or any of these huge things, you'd rather them have a 4/4 demon token that doesn't do anything. All that, so that's 6 evil cards, and that's to get you Dark Knight. This deck really can also abuse this. It's it's a free ambush blitz, so you're not spending your gold. You put down a 5/2 that's coming flying right in their face, possibly even turn 1. If they don't do something about this, this thing can start to chip away. It'll eat through tokens. It's just a pain in the neck, and every time, if they have to spend 1 gold to handle it, that's a better trade for you. So there's the evil package, very small. Now let's start looking at some of the sage stuff. Helion the Dominator, I really like this as a 3 count in this deck, specifically this deck. Ambush is important because it can come in before damage is dealt, right after blockers, or even after during declaring events. So if they bring ambush in one of their guys, you can then ambush this in, reveal the 2 cards, steal whoever they just put in, give it blitz, and hit them back in the face with it. You can also bring Helion in, give itself blitz, tap to deal 2 damage up to 2 targets. In the 0 fight, you'll be shooting, muses, gudgeons, stuff like that. It has a lot of uses, especially for this deck. Juggernaut here. Juggernaut doesn't really surprise anyone. You're looking at a 9/3. It has blitz. It has breakthrough. It's unbreakable on your turn. It's just a pain in the neck. It being a 1 gold sage card means you can attack with, you put down, say, Shadow Imp, attack for 2, put this down, bounce that thing back to your hand, and that could be one of the 2 loyalty cards you show them to draw a card. This thing in general is very threatening. When it draws a card to replace itself, it is so much better. And most things like Draka's Enforce or whatever, the card to replace itself, that you don't lose tempo. The only thing you're losing is spending your gold. So this is really good here. Memory Spirit is a 3 of. You'll see that how many of these 0 cost non-sage cards are in fact events. Getting some of these events back, and I'll highlight a few others. This does a lot of heavy lifting, and considering this effectively is just a very evasive, aggressive deck, this makes sure you stay in gas. If you have to cycle, let's show it off. We'll come back to it in a sec. Let's say Rage. If you have to cycle this for 2 cards early, you can get this back. Or you can Rage, play that, bring Rage back. You could get 8 points off of just the Memory Spirit right there. Misguide Herald, in shorthand, MGH. It's in so many decks. You see it so often. But the main thing here is that you're spending 1 gold to get more or less 2 threats on the board. You have a 3/2 airborne that's very disposable. Okay, but there's a bunch of, X3 airbornes, whatever the power is, but they have 3 defense. This thing can trade with them, but also it can just beat down for 3 in the air. There's no problem with that. It it does a lot of things well. It's definitely not a very dangerous card, but it'll keep the momentum going. Temporal Enforcer, this has ambush, unblockable, which is always nice. The loyalty to, since you can see that we have 20, so we have a total of 33, more than half the deck is Sage. This guy, actually girl technically, is going to trigger for loyalty more often than not. You can put it down mid combat. You can put it down right after they, spend their gold to put down their ambush, or send it right back to their hand. They spent their gold. You're in business, and on your turn you can bounce those tokens that you were giving them. With inner demon and such. But also you can bounce your Dark Knight, bringing it back, replaying it, and coming in for blitz again. So if they've already spent their gold, you put this down, bounce, bounce their ambusher that's like, oh, we got you. Bounce that, come in, hit them, goes to your turn, and you can do some more things. This is very versatile here. Most decks, I don't think I've really seen this put to as much effect as this deck does because of how much pressure the free champions really put on. Thought Plucker. This has a lot of weight put on it. Now, I know how dangerous this is, period, especially in decks that are set up to really utilize a heavier discard, if you have like Knight of Dusk or whatever. What this does is, one, it has ambush, two, it's unblockable, good. Now, obviously, you have this whole the opponent discards one, you draw one. This deck doesn't run draw spells, dedicated draw spells, so no Ancestral Chant, stuff like that. This is probably most of your draw engine. Now, yes, you can cast out some of those events for 1 gold, draw 2 cards. That's not always what you want to be doing. With the fact that you can ambush this in, put it down, take back your Shadow Imps, you can put it down at the end of their turn, make them discard a card, and just start wreaking havoc. And the fact that it is unblockable means a lot of these other events that are sort of saved for Shadow Imp just play double duty there. Time Walker, this is down to a 1 count. It was a 3 count in the original list, but that original list actually did not have the full 20 free spells. So I shaved off 2 of these for the free spells. I've seen this do wonders. I've seen this win some games, but I also have had this thing underperform on it a bunch of times. It comes and goes for how amazingly useful it is. In this deck, it's all right. I mean, obviously, if you bounce your whole blitzy 0 cost team, it's really good. But I'd rather have the events, and I'll point them out. Turn, 1 gold. This thing, the more you play the game and the more you get used to the timing on this card gets better and better and better. Now, I know you can read. The ability to take their champion on their turn, flip it around, it's prepared, block their own attacker with one of their own blockers. That's pretty solid, pretty standard stuff, right? On your turn, you can be in combat. They put down an ambusher before blockers are declared. It's like, attack events, whatever. You play this, take their ambusher. Now, you can either give it blitz for the 1 turn, so you can swing in with it for the death blow, or just take it permanently. If it's early and they put down some angel, I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to take your entire guy. That's fine. If you check pass, and this deck does that a lot because many of the threats in this deck are free. If you check pass and they go, oh, I don't want to waste my gold, I'm going to put down this ambusher, it's still your turn. Take their card. And so I mean, picking this thing back up with Memory Spirit for this deck, keeping the board clogged, you're going to make them board wipe. That's why this deck doesn't run so many board wipes. You basically encourage them because they're going to try and gum it up with their, big plays. Oh, I'll just steal your plays. So now you have to kill your own creatures. That's even better. Arcane Research 2 count. I put these in instead of the 2 Time Walkers. They dig deep. You have no real cycling from the discard besides Memory Spirit. So I'd rather just dig deeper and get more gas. Maybe find that 1 Time Walker, but usually it's more like find a Temporal Enforcer, find a Misguide Herald, just, find a turn, find removal. Just stay in gas. This is good early. It's even better later. It's only a 2 count. 3 Force Major Press. This is basically the reason you play a Shadow Imp deck. You combine this with Shadow Imp, and you're just adding all these bonuses to your Sage cards. This can kill a 4 defense champion. On your turn, or if you're lucky on their turn, you expend it, deal 2 damage to target, play a 1 gold Sage card, untap it, tap it again, deal the final 2. So on your turn, you can kill their Juggernaut if need be. You can take out, in pseudo mirror matches, you can take out their Memory Spirit. that sort of stuff. Yeah, obviously it's down there. Kills off Thought Pluckers, kills off Muse. You'll notice this deck doesn't have Muse. That's why I was saying how heavily it relies on Thought Plucker to be its draw engine instead of Muse. I insert 2 Hasty Retreats into this because you're racing. And when I get to the good section of this deck, I will, go over that. You're racing. There aren't many cards that really mess you up. Avenging Angel will mess you up, and I've been seeing ones like Avenging Angel with Royal Escort. You want to make sure, and yes, I know Avenging Angel underneath the Royal Escort shield doesn't work, but I meant more just the fact that for free, so you're not spending your gold. You can absolutely set back their 1 gold blitzer, or the card that they were really counting on, without using their gold. What that means, smarter players will, if their board's in a decent is either in parity, so equal to yours, or even in better position, if they'll attack to force you to spend your gold first. Well, here you don't have to spend your gold and send their lone attacker away or whatever, or just make certain blocks more favorable. You don't have to use this card as it is. Obviously, you can discard it for 2. I like it as a 2 count in this deck because 3 tends to almost force you to use one of them as a draw 2. Shadow Imp, we went over it. It's basically the core of the deck. Here you go, Warrior Golem. This was higher. I dropped him down to fit in the Hasty Retreats because more and more you're going to see some wolf tokens. This dies to a wolf spite. That it trips over zombies. It trips over wolves. It doesn't play as much offense as it used to in terms of the current metagame, in terms of what I'm seeing here in March. So I can't just bounce everything with a Time Walker and go, okay, well, now I'm going to go Shadow Imp, Warrior Golem, everybody has Blitz, go in for 12 out of nowhere. That tactic doesn't seem to be hitting as much. Players seem to be playing around those sort of tricks a little bit more. They keep some stuff in hands. They won't spend their gold early if they feel like a trick is coming their way. Here we are in Wild. This used to be Flame Strike. Now, your choice on Flame Strike. I'm not saying one is better than the other. For the way I play, Fires of Rebellion is what I like better. Flame Strike deals 8 damage to a target. This splits it up. It can deal 7 damage untargeting, so it gets around the gudgeon, to opposing players. Good. It can deal 7 damage to a champion and draw a card replacing itself. Good. Now, the problems are what it doesn't kill. Let's bring up some examples here. Well, that one wouldn't matter. Gold Dragon. So my choice, the Fires Rebellion, will not kill a Gold Dragon. It will not kill an Ice Drake. It will not kill. That wasn't it. It won't kill Master Zoe outside of combat. It won't kill a Palace Guard. So it won't kill a Silver Dragon. So you can see that I'm going to run into some problems. So if you feel like you're going to see them more and more, go back to Flame Strike. I like Fires of Rebellion for its ability to come back. That's a personal preference. So if you're going to flex anywhere, Fires of Rebellion switching between Flame Strike is fine. Mighty Blow, you want to do this usually pre-attack. You don't want to give them the window to blow out one of your guys, because on your turn, they can't play events or activate abilities until you attack. So if you put this on to say you go Shadow Imp, put Mighty Blow on Shadow Imp, they can't use Consume. They can't use, they can use Consume. They can use Essence Drain, but they're not going to kill it. They'll gain the life, but they won't kill it. And plus 10 is pretty terrifying. Now, obviously, throw this on, your Breakthrough Juggernaut, and it's pretty entertaining. But most of the time, you're going to be using it on one of your 0-drop blitzers. And finishing up with our Wild, we have Rage. Now, there's a lot of discussion about what you can do. So you can talk about between Rage, Lash, and Go Wild. They all give +4 attack. They have different abilities. Go Wild has +4 defense and has Recycle, so you can automatically replace it. Okay. Lash deals 1 damage to whatever it's targeting. So you can use it to remove humans, but if you do it on your Shadow Imp, the problem is, if you give that bonus to Shadow Imp, that now means it has 1 damage on it, meaning a Wolf Bite can now take out your Shadow Imp. So that's here or there. Rage, there are also times where a Lash or a Go Wild isn't what I needed. I needed 2 cards. and I've cashed a Rage in early just to bring it back with a Memory Spirit. So Rage seems to fit this deck because it doesn't have a solid draw engine, so many of these events have that draw 2 capability on it. Now, we'll finish up with the more questionable cards that I very much enjoy. So we need to run 6 good gold cards to play Brave Squire. This card normally is terrible. It doesn't have recycle, it doesn't have a draw 2 option on it. It just seems so terrible. But for 0, it can give half of Mighty Blow. It can give +5 attack, unbreakable, and you get a human out of the deal. So in a pinch, it could be a 6/1 human unbreakable out of nowhere to stop, some attacker that, you might actually be able to kill it with a 0. So it's half removal spell, it's half pump. It's wily. No one ever sees it coming. And so, I mean, I like that idea. I also like that on turn 1 or on whatever dead turn they think they gummed up the ground, they're at 15, they think they're safe. You just go, okay, well, I'm going to attack, put down Dark Knight, throw this on top, hit for 10. They're like, okay, I'm so messed up. You throw in Rage, give it breakthrough. You can absolutely take them down from 20 to nothing with this card. Obviously, circumstances included. But it is a 0 cost. It does give Unbreakable. It does give the bonus to the front end. If you play this deck more and more, you're going to find it does some work. Now, the original deck had 3 Urgent Messengers and 3 Ceasefire. Urgent Messengers is there to draw 2 cards and put down 2 blockers for non-breakthrough, non-airborne attackers. You are racing. I said that before. You're racing. You need every, inch you can get. So this stopping 2 attackers for a turn, let's say you gave them a demon or you gave them a zombie from, your 2 remover spells, Bitten and Inner Demon. It just gives you time. And the number of times I've been caught by an Ice Drake at the end of my turn, or they come in with Veldin, or they come in with a Frost Titan, they tap down or bounce my whole team, you can still play Urgent Messengers and put down some blockers. So you still have a way to slow down the damage. And in this sort of a race, it's not uncommon to only win by under 10 life because you've been trading blows back and forth. Like I deal you 8, you deal me 7, and I'm coming in at the wire. Does it need 3? That's up to you. I'm going to show you the other stuff I put in. Some of it feels like garbage, but we'll get there. This banishes all champions on the return or could give you 5 humans. The more I've played this deck, the more I'm not as much in love with this card. Now, it's true you have so many ambushers that this doesn't hurt you as much, but the fact that it does banish means you can't use on your turn with the Dark Knight and get favorable results. You're going to lose your team too. You don't have any unbanishable champions. So this is definitely a flex spot. Find something you like, whether you want to be removal or whatever else. But remember, your job is to punch through them and to slow them down so that you're not getting punched back as hard. Justice Prevails. This was a 2 of, it's down to a 1 of. Because of the number of tokens you generate, let's say with Urgent Messengers or Inner Demon, if you cast on your turn, you get the demon. But also your Shadow Imps, your Dark Knight, you have a lot of 0 cost champions that you're attacking with. Giving them +3/+3 in Righteousness, especially with how evasive those bodies already are, it does some work. Now, the problem, of course, is it does cost 1 gold, but you do get a card out of playing it for its aggressive mode. You can also pitch it for 2 cards. As a 1 of, it has actually won me a game. They were at 10. I went Shadow Imp, Justice Prevails because they spent their gold, swing in for 10 unblockable. Okay. But it could easily be something else, some other big flyer with ambush, some other combat trick. It's whatever. Now I want to bring up Ceasefire to show you where we were. This card is not legal in Constructed, so I don't think it's ever coming back because it gets really abusive with Kark. Draw 2 cards. Champions can't attack this turn. Basically, many attacks you see in this game go 1 champion to kind of fish the water. So if there's a spike trap, they're not going to lose multiple champions to that. So this says, oh, if you're just dipping a toe, I'm going to make it so that you can't attack for the rest of the turn. And that first one's still coming in, but I get 2 cards out of it. Similar, but I am not going to even try and pretend it's the same thing. You're getting 2 cards out of playing it. Remove all your attacker or blocker champions and prepare them. So what you have here is a flexible card that if you get ambushed, if you get, some unfavorable block, you can pull out your attackers. Their the one they were using to block is still going to be removed from combat. It's flipped. Now, if you're blocking, say you have they're attacking with so much stuff, you put, you block with, say, you can ambush in, let's say, Dark Knight and a Shadow Imp, block, they're going to get creamed normally. You play this, pull them out. As long as they don't have breakthrough, you still stopped that attack. It's not perfect. Two feels about right, just because you want to have one probably somewhere in a game. If you're racing the ground or air war. But if you had three, this thing would be clogged up, and you cash it early and you lose your surprise. So good needs a little massaging. I'm not gonna pretend it doesn't. But with you want to play Brave Squire. The fact that it's another huge boost. Now I can defend myself on why don't we just put in, where are we? Go Wild. Why don't we just put in Wolf? Why don't we just put in, say, where's Lash? Lash. Why don't we put in those instead of Brave Squire? Well, there's two things. One, Brave Squire can be a 5/1 unbreakable human in a pinch. Two, it gives unbreakable. So you can still, you can still put forward, your Shadow Imp blocking 4/0. Shadow Imp has ambush. Put it down, put this on it. You now have a 7/3 unbreakable that can block, kill something, and survive the block. Giving unbreakable, especially if people start getting wiser to more of these Shadow Imp decks and they start running Fireball, that's a pretty good answer. They're Fireball, because you see that one gold option. They can come in and sweep for 3, because normally Flash Fire right here was becoming very standard, killing off Muse, killing off Gudgeon, killing off all these tokens, etc., etc., etc. Well, Shadow Imp gets around that by its 3 defense. So I see Fireball here a little bit more. If you suspect a Spike Trap, or hands from below, you can get unbreakable. Now, obviously, you have to do it before they, play that event. But I mean, the reason I like this deck, and this deck is definitely janky. I'm not pretending it's not. It's casual. It has some great stories for the win. If you want to make it more serious, you probably can punt all this good and, double up on your wild or your evil, get some more combat tricks, whatever. I just like the fact that we're running Brave Squire, and it's running Mighty Blow. It's running cards that normally are so fringe, even in limited. They're not heavily drafted. You'll see them in random 30s, or in the, those singleton constructors that they randomly run in Arena, because you have to. You just want one more card. But this deck is running them on purpose, 3 of each. So, we can take a look here at good real quick. As far as anything that kind of stays on the topic of how things go, maybe more pinpoint. There's nothing else that like draws 2 cards and gives you an effect. As far as bodies, good doesn't have anything that, it can go wide. You could argue maybe Resurrection, except the fact that bringing back a Shadow Imp isn't going to do it for you. You're looking at all this stuff. I don't see any other, 1 gold good cards that give me the same fuzzies that this other deck does. So right now, I'm just going to actually, you're going to watch me do it now. I'm taking out that Martial Law, and I'm putting in that 3rd Urgent Messengers, bringing it back up. So I mean, if you want to have some fun, I am posting this. I'm definitely saying it's casual. Have fun with this deck. Don't expect it to, go better than 50-50. But if you play with it more and more, you learn this still has enough flexibility in it with the amount of ambush. This can play a control game and then sneak in with Shadow Imp. It can sneak in with, Dark Knight, stuff like that. So give it a shot.